Hello, YouTube. This is just another guy talking about stuff. We're doing a very special interview today, something I haven't done before. I'm interviewing not only a musician, but he's now a family member. This is my brother-in-law, Ali Heath. Ali, why don't you introduce
Hi there.
yourself? How are you, mate?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Ali Heath. Hail from Stoke-on-Trent in the United Kingdom. So, like Benny says, newly to the family because he's just married my eldest sister Claire, and yeah, here we go.
Yeah, so it's also my first international podcast or interview, if I haven't mentioned that. So I'm interviewing a musician for the first time, and it's international, and it's a new family member. So this is really cool. Thanks for coming on.
No, it's all right, and happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you very much. Yes, we're recording this on my birthday. It's December 28th, 2021.
That's commitment.
I turned 42 years old today.
Wow.
I got nothing better to do. it's still early here. It's only 3 p.m. It's 8 p.m. over where you are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So we'll get you out of here in a little bit. But thanks for stopping by the chat.
Anytime, mate.
So the first question I want to ask you, this is kind of where I go with all my interviews. The first thing I want to do is like, what made you fall in love with music? You know, what made you want to pursue it? What made you want to start creating music for, either yourself or, commercially?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the early memories of music is through my dad, David, and he was a musician all through the 70s and the 80s. He was on more like the local kind of pub rock scene, so to speak. He was a bass player, and he was later on, before he became unwell, he was a drummer. But there was always instruments in the house. There was a bass guitar, which is predominantly my main instrument. But he'd have a guitar, there'd be a keyboard. So early memories of growing up, in like, he had a front room, as we used to call it, off like the living area, and it was just full of instruments, and that was the first memory. And he very much kind of instilled that passion in me, and he taught me my first chords and scales on a guitar, and it kind of just went from there, really. And then moving forward a bit, as I got a bit older, I remember again my dad, that influence coming through from listening to his vinyl collection, and this old, like, late 70s, 80s cassette stroke vinyl player that looked like something off Space Odyssey to a kid. You lift up this. So yeah, it was that, really, and the whole physicality of having the gatefold records to kind of gaze at as a young kid, and just soaking up the artwork, and just kind of transporting you, really. So yeah, earliest memories. And then I've just taken it forward. It started off carrying that on through school. My best friend, Phil, who was my best man as well, and we've pretty much been in bands on and off together for years. And he had a shared love of pretty much the Beatles was the first band I was into. So yeah, that was it, really. Kind of went from there. And
obviously the Beatles, influenced a lot of music all over the globe, not just in the UK, but being from the UK, obviously I'm sure they were a huge influence on a lot of musicians.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's with that, I shouted it out. And I think sometimes you kind of forget or lose track of just how good they were, really, because they are that good, and it almost becomes a given. When it's one of those bands that you listen to so much, you sometimes get to a point where it's saturating. You think, you move away, you're looking for something else. But it's a band that I always go back to, because they are that good.
They also have such a diverse library, right? Like, they were able to adapt with the times, and the best bands, especially the ones that lasted a long time. Obviously, the Beatles could have gone on for as long as they wanted to.
We were a friend of mine, we were talking about that earlier. I don't know whether have you seen the Get Back film that's out at the minute? It's on I think it's on Disney. I don't know whether Disney Plus. No. I mean, whether you're into the Beatles or whether you're into music, or just seeing that film and how how they kind of work together. But then, unfortunately, I won't tell you the ending. Well, we all know the ending, but it kind of they could have gone on for 10 years plus if maybe they hadn't got in with the wrong management at the end. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going on one. So
no, I mean, it's a great subject to talk about. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people could talk about the Beatles for a long time. They're like I said, they're one of the most influential bands.
Who's your favorite?
History of music. My favorite Beatle.
Yeah. Have you got one?
Probably Lennon.
Yeah,
Probably,
it's a good one.
probably more so for his political ideologies too. You know me, my
And of course,
leftism.
you ended up in
My Imagine is like that's basically like my ideology right there. That's a great song.
yeah, it's a
But
great album. But he ended up in New York, of course, didn't he?
and that's where
He
he
ended up,
met his demise,
yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah. I was there, unfortunately, outside the old Dakota building. But yeah, imagine what a song and what an album and
Yes.
what you know.
So moving on, this
What's
is
it?
actually a great segue, and I love great segues because my next question was going to be obviously, other than the Beatles, since we talked about them, what are your other influences in your creative process, and like what bands do you look to? I don't want to say emulate because I think everybody has someone they look to kind of mold their performance. Like I know in
Yeah,
wrestling, like I know it's a completely different idea, but it's still performance. And like I look to other people to, kind of emulate and not so much steal, but use their talents
yeah.
to my advantage. So
Hey, well, without a shadow of a doubt, I mean, I think music, like a lot of art forms, I mean, I think there's very few people who can really stand up and say that they are completely original, and it's an original thought. There's always the bands from before that we're kind of looking back towards, and or rather looking back at that. You do look at emulating. I mean, for me and for us as a band, because I was in a band called Alfa9 for many years. It was very much Pink Floyd was a big influence. Certainly the kind of '60s and Sid Barrett era, Pipers at the Gate of Dawn, and then an American band that I love was the Byrds, and I
yeah,
still love the Byrds, and Gene Clark, who left the band after the earlier albums. He's a hero of mine. More, I suppose, more modern day. There's quite a lot of influences really. I love Arcade Fire, which is a Canadian band. They're massive worldwide. Interpol, another New
okay,
York band. The Strokes, and then UK based. There's a band called Doves, which are, I suppose, from Manchester. They've been around for years, but a huge influence of mine. The Beta Band is another one. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're a British. They're worth checking out. The Beta
okay.
Band. They aren't going anymore, but
They probably got a lot of
absolutely.
stuff out there to check out.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I could go on, to be honest, Vinny. It's one of those
Yeah,
Elliot.
that's
Elliot
that's great though.
yeah, yeah.
Because yeah,
Elliot
it's
Smith is
always good
another
to
one.
diversify like that, right? Because then you have a lot of things to ideas to pull from and kind of meld those things together to create new things. And I think that's what music's basically been since music's been invented is people taking
Oh yeah.
sounds that work good on their own and then combining them to make something new and then something builds off of that. It's almost like an alchemy of music, you know what I mean?
Sometimes you don't even know. I think
What you're
sometimes
doing,
it's
yeah,
kind
it
of
just
yeah.
comes to just and it's just a surprise.
It kind of shows you how much maybe some of this music's permeated into your, being over the years growing up. And I mean, sometimes, yeah, okay, you could hold your hand up and say, yeah, all right, that's a bit too close to the old to the bone in a way. It's a bit, you could say it's a bit, yeah, that's quite obvious. And others, you don't know. And sometimes the writing and creative process, for me personally, I mean, a lot of the time it starts off on an acoustic guitar, and it'll just be a riff or an idea or a melody, or there'll be a melody line on the piano, and then it's transposing it onto the studio, and that's where the magic kind of happens for me, in the sense of it can go anywhere, any which way you want to take it. You have the drums, you don't, you get more of a lo-fi, laid back vibe, or you kind of speed it up, whatever. So that's kind of how it works for me. But in a way, I don't ever kind of think about it too much. Without, I do think about it clearly, but
You
it's never.
don't want to overthink things
Nah,
almost, right? You want to just kind of let it happen organically and
exactly.
trusting yourself in the process, right? I think
That's it.
yeah.
That's it exactly. Because otherwise, it becomes a bit too contrived, really, a bit too obvious.
Right.
So, and sometimes, you'll hear it and you'll be like, "This is working," or clearly this isn't.
Now you play all your own instruments on the album, correct?
Yeah,
So
apart from the drums.
Is that machine, or did you bring somebody in?
No, that's me. I'm playing it, but it's like a MIDI,
Like a
mid.
synthesized drum.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
kind
you're,
of. I mean,
but you're still controlling a lot of it.
yeah.
It's not just a beat that you're
No,
programming
no.
and
I mean, I've got control
turning on
over
and
it,
off.
but yeah. So I can't hold my hand up and say I've done the drums. That'd be cheating. Yeah, but
Fair enough.
everything else was me.
Awesome. And how many instruments do you play?
Um, well, it's just I can play a bit of piano, bass, guitars, and then I sing, and then a bit of percussion, all that kind of thing, So I
Now,
wouldn't say it's like ridiculous amounts, but yeah.
now compared to playing in the band, because you said you were in a band, Alfa9, um,
Yeah.
and being solo, like obviously you have a lot more control over your solo idea and like what you want to do. But kind of compare the process between collaborating with a band and bringing your own sounds together to form a song.
Well, I think the main difference is, and I was only saying this the other day to a friend, you are on your own. I know that's an obvious thing, but you've got no one to bounce off. You've got no one to kind of compare it to, and almost act as a bit of a marker, and that can be good and bad. I mean, being in a band is quite it can be difficult, but it's also a good thing because you've got each other to kind of measure yourself and you're playing against. You can bounce ideas off, and it's good in that sense because you've got 4 or 5 people all adding into the process. So you're sharing the burden. I say burden. You're sharing the work. Although it can be a burden sometimes.
Any work can be a
But
burden.
of course you can. Of course you can. But then on your own, it's pros and cons. When you're on your own, you don't answer to anyone else. There's no politics. It's just you. You do it at your own pace, and that's it. You kind of stand on whatever you decide. So it's kind of good. There's pros and cons with both really. But I must admit, I have enjoyed doing the solo stuff. Um, a lot. I've enjoyed it a lot. I do feel at some point in the future I would like to get back and do something with the band or collaboratively with other musicians. But overall, no, it's been good.
That's great. I was gonna ask that because I'm sure some people found this interview because of your former work with Alpha 9, and I did want to sneak that in there, wondering if
Oh
you had
yeah.
any ideas to reunite or do something together.
Well, at the minute, no. I mean, but we were together as a band for so long. A couple of the lads are doing their own things. Leon's got another band that he's in at the minute. They're doing really well. They're called Gabriel's Dawn. You want to check them out. They're really a great band, like a kind of a Americana kind of feel going on. So, but I do feel that at some point, I'm sure we'll do something again because once you've been in a band, you've been so close to your bandmates. I think if the time's right, we'll definitely do something. Hopefully, anyway.
Cool. I'm sure people would look forward to that.
Yeah, and if you get a chance, check out some of the stuff.
Of course.
I'm sure you can put some links up at the end, can't you, Vinny?
Oh yeah, no, links will be in the description. I'll have your social
good
media
lad.
stuff on the screen
Good
right
lad.
now. I did want to talk about the first time like you played in front of people live.
Oh yeah.
What was that experience like for you? First off, how old were you?
I'm just thinking.
I
think it was. I must have been about 15, 14, 15. And I'm thinking back now, it was a New Year's Eve kind of bash. So quite poignantly around this similar time. And it was I think it was in like a village hall of all places. It was out in the sticks, out in the more out in the rural area from where we are. And it was just young lads, not really knowing what we're doing, just playing some covers. I think thinking about it now, we were doing some Oasis covers. I think it was about 96 or even 95. So it'd be 94, 95. So,
Yeah, we're about the same age, so 15 would have been around
there. Yeah. So, and I remember just feel it. Yeah, I think it just, as you would doing anything new, nerve wracking. First time you're getting up in front of people. I don't think there was a lot of people there anyway. To be truthful, but it was a good experience, and I think we'd smuggled in some cans of ale as well, and we were.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, as you do. We were pretty much leathered by the end of the night, so yeah, it was good. It was a good time. It was a good experience.
Didn't matter how you sounded by the end of the night, because it sounded good to you.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that was with certain gigs. That didn't change at certain times. But yeah. It was a good laugh. It was a good experience. And again, you mentioned earlier about that early kind of feelings around music and that, and how I got into it. So that experience again, it just kind of pushes you on for the next one. It's a bit of a drug, really. You get that buzz. I suppose it's like you with the wrestling and the refereeing and everything else.
And I remember my first time, walking into a wrestling ring. I actually tripped over the ropes.
Did you?
In. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I tripped over the stairs, coming up the stairs, and I got a little laugh from the crowd. So me being naive, thinking, oh, I got a reaction. Then I purposely tripped over the ropes to get an even bigger laugh.
Did you get one though?
I did. I did.
Oh yeah.
Looking back, it wasn't really my place to get that laugh.
Yeah, well, why not?
Nobody cared. Nobody was that worried about it. Something, if I'm sure I did now, it would get looked at like, well, why would you do that? But
at the time,
and it's the first time, you're like, oh, this is. I got a little reaction. You want to get that reaction, and that's what performing is about, right? You get that reaction is a lot like a drug.
And the thing is, you've got to kind of cut your trade, cut your teeth almost. You've got to learn the trade. I say learn the trade. I mean, it is. It's
there's nothing like learning live, right? You don't.
Oh yeah.
You could practice. You can train as much as you like. And there's not that experience that you get from doing something live in front of people, and knowing that
you've got a lot of stimulus, haven't you, Vinny? You've got like. Sorry, I
no. Go.
No, I'm done.
Great.
I finished. So yeah. But,
let's talk about the new album coming out a little bit. It's you said it's coming out in early next year, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I've said spring. I've said spring really, like April probably. But again, I'm doing all this. I'm doing the music. I'm doing the organising, the press, and pushing everything. So I'm saying spring, but it could change depending on whether I can
how busy things get
my arse in gear, so to speak.
Because you got other things going on, right? I mean, you get that.
That's it.
You grow up, and just it's again a lot like wrestling. There's a lot of things that I miss out on because I got responsibilities. Yeah. But that's that's part of it. But that's also like one of the cool things about it is because I know I enjoy it so much because I'll go do it when I can, right?
Exactly.
Instead of doing anything else that you want to do, spend time doing. That's something that you enjoy doing. That's something that you want to come back to. But you kind of started doing this during the COVID-19 pandemic, correct?
Yeah.
I'm sure that was something just because now there's less to do, so now you have the time on your hands. But what about like what? I guess what was the inspiration for the album overall? Like, was it feelings about COVID during COVID? Was it personal? Was it professional? What kind of inspired you not only to like go and write the music and do all these and play all the instruments yourself, but how did that kind of work into your process?
I think at the time when I started it was never really my aim to kind of complete a full album. I think what it was naturally, like you said, it was COVID hit, the first lockdown came, and we were just all forced into this collective isolation almost. So it was something to do initially. We decided so many months before COVID hit that the band was going to have a bit of a hiatus, and we were going to do other things and look at other things individually and whatever projects. I was looking at getting into recording, because one thing that being in a band, you said, how does it help having other people with you? It's like one of the lads, Leon, used to spearhead the kind of recording and production process. So I'd never really done the technical side. I'd always been around for the recording, so I kind of knew in theory what I was doing, but I'd never actually done it in practice. So it started off with me just wanting to kind of experiment with the studio and the recording process, and had a few ideas and a few sketches, if you like. And then as I was getting into the recording and enjoying it and learning the process of the production, the sounds, and how sonically you hit certain sounds, if you like, that's where it kind of started developing from just like what you'd say a demo to say more of an actual song. And then it kind of snowballed from there, really. One song and then two, and then before I knew where I was, I had like an EP worth, and then an EP's worth rather, and then was looking more at a full album. But again, I think sometimes with me and my kind of process, when I write, sometimes I might not always necessarily know what it might be about until I'm putting the words down. But yeah, I think it was more about the forced exile and that isolation that hit us. But I suppose reflecting on it now and looking at some of the songs, a lot of it is personal in that, we talked about, I suppose, another segue, where we are in our lives now compared to, say, where we were 20 years ago, and looking at the things that kind of matter in your life, that kind of, we were stuck, forced into this isolation and hoping to be able to get out of it. But at the same time, looking at what we've got, and, for me, looking at what I've got in my life now and being thankful for it, really. So it sounds a bit cliche, maybe a bit cheesy, but yeah, it's there, and it's kind of what came through in the music.
Things are cliche for a reason, right? And it's because it's how we express things. So what future plans do you have for either you or, like we talked about, with Alfa9 or anything? I mean, I know you still got to finish this one up, and what are your expectations for the new album, and where do you see yourself in the future with musically?
Yeah, I think first things first, I want to just give this album a really good crack of the whip, so to speak. It's just trying to get it out to as many people as possible, and this is why I really appreciate you having me on here. And it's
Well, I hope this
audience. Oh yeah, listen, it all helps, Vinny, for me.
Any little bit, right?
Of course, I mean, I'm at a similar stage to you. I mean, you're trying to grow your channel and your followers, and I appreciate you having me on. So yeah, I want to get this album out there, get this music out there, and just see where that goes. Probably over the next 6 to 8 months, and then we'll see. Hopefully, I'm always writing songs. I'm always creating music, whether that's back with Alfa9 or with another vehicle, so to speak, or just doing other solo stuff on my own. I'm always going to be putting out songs and content out onto the usual caper, all the platforms, and just see what happens and enjoy it, really, because this is the thing. There's no pressure. It's just.
Are you looking to play live anywhere?
Yeah, I mean, I am.
Local venues, or are you still playing live currently?
I'm still playing live. I mean,
when they let you out of the house, I know it's very strict over there.
Well, this actually we're not too bad over here compared to some other nations, but yeah, I'm looking to play. I'm looking to play live, and that's the other thing. I'm having to kind of pick and choose, because when I'm on my own, it's depending on which venue it is, it's trying to kind of emulate the songs and do them justice. Some of them work maybe with an acoustic or a guitar on my own, or I think in the new year, I suppose one thing I'm looking to do is to get some friends in on it and maybe try and get it up to a live, a full band setup, whereas at the minute it isn't. So
right, so you kind of recreate that sound that you want.
Definitely, or as close to. And to be honest, right, that's something I look forward to, is hearing it kind of with other players. And I'm going to be saying, look, these are the parts. In fact, a good friend of mine, Phil, who was going on about, he was helping me out a bit, and he putting his stamp on it, and it was so nice to hear it, where it wasn't just me playing my bits, it was his and his style, kind of on the song. So yeah, I don't even know what I'm going on about now, Vinny. I'm just getting off on one. So
you just talk. Well, that's what we're here for. Speaking of, actually, is there anything else you wanted to add? That was actually my final question. We're getting towards the end here. Is there anything that's on your mind? Anything you want to say to the listeners out there, to your fans, anyone that happen to find the channel?
Not particularly. Just check out the music. You know, the usual scenario. Just follow me, follow my channel, Instagram, all that caper, Facebook, whatever. Just and if you like it, just share the music and pass it on. And you know, the more people I can get listening to it, the better. And last thing I'd say is thank you for having me on, Vinny.
Hey, anytime. I will definitely put those links that you sent me in the description. So check those out in the description below. They're down there if you don't know how YouTube works yet. But so I like to finish up with I call it the quick 5-question quiz.
Okay.
I'm calling it today. I might have called it something different in the past. It's been a while since I've been
quick fire round.
It's sounding good. There's a lot of cues in there. I like the alliteration. The quick 5-question quiz. This is going to be kind of like, British oriented, because I don't have many international guests. Like I said, you were my first one. Who knows down the future?
I mean, to be honest with you, just let me stop you just before we go on. International, I get that, but I feel a bit like, am I an international guest? I'm not sure I am, but
it's a different country than the one I'm in. International.
That'll do us. Yeah.
Listen, I could put international out there. It sounds a lot better, doesn't it?
Yeah, damn right.
All right. So here we go. The quick 5-question quiz. First, pretty easy question, I think, for you to answer. Which football team do you support? And by football, for you American friends, I mean soccer. Sorry, I was talking over you.
It's okay. No, it's fine. That's easy. Stoke City FC.
Stoke City Football Club. All right. I know the answer to this, but for the people out there, cream tea, Devonshire or Cornish?
Now, you'll have to remind me because
you said Devon.
Yeah. Did I say Devon?
You said Devon.
Well, I always
in the YouTube comments.
So just remind me. So that's cream first.
That's cream first, then the jelly. And then jam. Sorry.
That goes. Well, I'm sorry.
It's so much easier. I'm sorry if you don't know what we're talking about. Check out my videos. I have a video on there comparing the different ways you can take cream tea, either jam first to cream or cream first and jam. It's very interesting stuff. It's a hot topic over there. You don't even know. People get in fights over it all the time.
I don't know about that. No, I don't think people.
I'm exaggerating.
To be honest as well, cream tea, it's not something I'd ever think that I'd have cream tea. I'd just get a scone from the shop, right, and I'd have a cup of tea with you. So yeah. But anyway, that's what I go with. So that's Devon.
Devonshire.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite Spice Girl?
Ginger.
Good call. Do you know the rules of cricket?
Yeah.
I've watched it a few times when I was over there.
I mean,
still have no idea.
Oh yeah. Well, I love cricket. I used to play when I was younger, and in fact, it's quite commiserations for us English at the minute because we've just got absolutely hammered in the Ashes.
Oh, is that going on now?
So, well, we just got destroyed. Yeah, so it's like a 5-match series, and they're 3-0 up. They've retained it, and they did it in absolute emphatic style. Our batting just capitulated every time. But
I know the Ashes from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's my favorite book. So there's a bit in there, I think, in the third series. Anyway, last but not least, final question: how do you take your tea?
I have it with milk. And 1 sugar. Perfect. Usually. Great. Yeah. How do you have yours?
Just sugar. I don't like milk.
Oh, right. Okay.
I'm weird.
No, you're not. We all
have our different things.
We like what we like. At the end of the day, you like Cornish.
Never liked
it. So, and you don't like
some people out there, right?
Yeah. No, that's it. What is it? Every man and woman have got their own taste. So yeah, hats off to you.
Appreciate it. So thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you coming on here, chatting for a bit, having a conversation about music, because I really don't know much about music. So I think it was a really cool experience to be able to interview a musician and someone I know, and I hope I can help you out.
Yeah, listen, thank you ever so much, and keep in touch, and hope you, Claire, Ali, and everyone over there as well. And
Obviously, say hi to the family.
we'll see. We'll do. Vice versa. You take care, mate.
Yeah. Cheers.